I may sound ignorant, but what on earth is going on in this video?
Going back with the devil wants to try and play. But God's still healing him. You're going to try to go back. I'm right back. God can move.
Anyway, moving on to the next part of this video, I love this reflection shared by Father Rehill during one of his radio shows on Radio Maria. Try and listen to this.
You hardly ever see depictions of Jesus smiling or laughing. I mean, I remember when I came back to the church in 1998, that was kind of a question of mine. I was like, why is Jesus always looking so somber and serious? And of course, in moments, you should be. Certainly the Passion, there's no reason to be laughing or smiling even though he was experiencing joy in that too. But like, certainly, if he's fully human, he had moments where he was laughing and carrying on. I mean, I think the Chosen does that pretty good. They continually depict Jesus as someone who has a sense of humor and is funny. And I would hope he does, and I'm sure he does, for that matter. But modern art, not even modern, medieval, traditional art works of Jesus almost always depict him as a serious person because he's God. So because he's God, I think the general consensus is, well, we have to make him serious if he's God. He can't be some clown. No, he'll never be a clown. But he can laugh. He can have fun. He can revel in the gifts of nature that God has given us. A beautiful sunset might bring a smile to his eyes, or a tear even. The vastness of the blue ocean, the immensity of the beauty of nature could bring him joy that would bubble out of him, put a smile on his face. So when I had just come back to the church, I was 33 years old, and of all things, I went to a tattoo parlor, and I said, can you make an image of Jesus smiling? And the guy was very talented. He said, okay, I can do it. I can pretty much make anything. So he drew it up, and then he said to me, would you like me to add the Sacred Heart to it? And I said, oh, yeah, that would be great. And he did that, and I actually have that on my right arm. I know that's controversial. A lot of people would say, oh, Father, you shouldn't have tattoos. Well, this is back when I just was a neophyte coming back into the faith. So I do have Jesus smiling on my arm with the Sacred Heart, and it says, come follow me, because that's what he said to me back when I was 33. So the idea of him enjoying life is not, shouldn't be foreign to us. Remember at Cana, he made all that wine. I'm sure he had a few glasses of wine. I don't think it would be beyond the pale to imagine that. So this is kind of the whole premise for his rejoicing here. He's experiencing it in his body as a human, a divine person, but human. And he is giving praise to the Father.
And I've covered astral projection many times before and warned people about it by sharing a lot of clips of The Exorcist warning us about it. And I'll continue to warn people by sharing examples like this one and follow it up with a clip of The Exorcist.
So I encountered angels in my astral projection a few weeks ago, and did you know that they actually have to ask for your consent before helping you? That is a fact I didn't know. I didn't know that I would even be experiencing any angels in the astral realm. I've never thought much about angels. I've always been agnostic my whole life. I didn't know what there was out there, and for one reason or another, that's what my brain associated them with. It was angels, and they came to me. I have a whole story time on it, but they came to me during a time where I was in a space where I project from in the astral realm. I don't know how to explain it. And there was a bunch of negative entities in there, and things I didn't want in there. And for one of the first times ever, I was unable to get rid of them. And angels came from the sky, and I didn't look at them. I just like knew they were there, and they were a very bright white light, and they said, "Can we help you?" And I'm very like against anything helping me in the astral world. So every time a spirit guide even tries to help me, it takes like some convincing, and I need like a lot of proof, and I'm really stubborn, and I'm like, why do I have to be here? And yeah, I guess I'm just like obstinate to start. And they said, do you want our help? And I said, no, I don't need your help. And then I tried to rid this area of the like negative entities that were like not, I just didn't want them there, honestly. And I couldn't again. And then I ended up on the outside of this area. Like, so I'd basically been like yeeted from the area I was trying to cleanse. And there was two entities there. And one said that it was my spirit guide, and I said, prove it. And then his face like turned into static, and then another one appeared and said, I'm actually your spirit guide.
And it must be said that the role of our will is very important in all of these. And if one continues to sin and engage the occult world, that is already giving the permission to the world of darkness.
The demons don't have any authority over us that we don't give them. Maybe by our actions, by what we're doing, we can give authority to demons, but then we also have the power to take that back by virtue of our faith in Jesus Christ. We can do something crazy that can give an authority to a demon to act in our lives or in a location, but then we can renounce that by the power in the name of Jesus Christ. Because I believe that anything that's not consistent with our faith is something that we should root out of our lives. One of the greatest sins mentioned in the Old Testament is the sin of idolatry. And we have to make sure that we're not allowing something, namely the devil, to take the place of God in our lives. And again, the devil is very, very intellectual. You know, recently there's a new movie out called Nefarious. It's about a man on death row who is possessed, and his psychologist, who's an atheist, and they have a conversation. What's interesting about the movie Nefarious, it doesn't focus on all the theatrics of the devil, but it really shows his intellect. And usually that's a side of the devil that people don't really think about. But the devil is very intellectual. He's very smart. And sometimes he may be manipulating us and we don't even realize it.
And I'll add this one into the mix on the angels and demons.
Two different societies were forming at that time. The society of demons and the society of angels. Demons were going worse and worse. Angels were going better and better. At the beginning, they were just angelic natures with no love at the time of the creation. In the probation, they become good. They become with love, with faith, with hope. Some of them even holy. Some of them, they fight very hard to make many bad angels to return. The same we see on earth happen on that moment in that society that was dividing into. The same. The angelic world was very variated, you say variated, variado, was very diverse, variated, with many possibilities. Because we are on earth, it's hard for us to understand how an angel may do so many things as we, but they can. And finally, God put an end to the time of probation, or finally, some of them they finish with a definitive will to maintain his choice, their choice, and the other ones finally they had a definitive will to maintain his choice for God. Those good ones were introduced in the presence of God. Perhaps together, perhaps each one in the moment God wanted. But they were introduced not in a place. God is not in a place. They were introduced in a new state. The state of seeing the substance of God, the Holy Trinity, face to face. From that moment, there was no possibility to go backward. The other ones went apart. I insist, we don't speak in terms of places, it's in terms of state. The state of many of them was completely far from God. They changed themselves into monsters, as the other angels change into spiritual beauties, supernatural beauties.
And I'll wrap this up by sharing this clip of Father Iannuzzi on the gifts we receive from God. Listen to this.
If you receive the sacrament, which is a gift of holy matrimony, and I receive the gift, sacrament, of holy orders, I will not be given the gifts you're given to fulfill your role as a husband, because I'm not a husband. You won't be given the gifts I'm given as a priest to fulfill my role as a priest, because you're not a priest. And the same applies with Adam and Eve. She was only given the gifts in relation to her role as a mother, as a nurturer, as a conveyor, conduit, to receive from Adam and give to her offspring that which God gave Adam. This is how it worked, and this is how it works in the church today. God works always through a hierarchical chain of command. This is in the structure of the priesthood. You have the Pope, the bishops, the priests, the deacons, the religious, the laity. And then it's also found in the sacramentology of the church. You cannot receive the sacraments without the priest performing certain rituals, right? Like confession or communion and confirmation, things like that. So God made us dependent upon different functions and different roles in society and in the church. And according to our roles, we're given certain gifts. Not everyone is given the same gift, but we're given this in proportion to our function in society, in the world. So I would imagine that Eve had certain gifts Adam didn't have, as a mother, as a wife, and Adam had gifts he did not have, as a father and as the head of the human race.
Well, that will be all for the video this time, for our reflection and revision together. I truly enjoy learning all these things with all of you, and thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to be here with us. Please share any suggestion or feedback you might have with me in the comments below. And until the next time, thanks again for watching, much love, and may God bless all of you.